Hype Podcast Studios.
Hello, I'm Kevin Haywood from KSH Safety Services. Can you guess what my middle name is? Safety is my middle name, and that's the name of my podcast.
Safety is his middle name, keeping you safe, keeping your reputation in the game.
Welcome, and my guest today is Steve Waygood, and he's our first guest in Series 2. Steve, welcome.
Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
20 years as a firefighter, all operational. The last 7 of which have been as an officer in charge, a watch commander. Started my own little health safety business 3 years ago. Went from strength to strength. 2 directors, few subcontractors. Growing and growing. Self-development, investing in ourselves. It's good, really good.
And which fire service is this?
Greater Manchester.
Greater Manchester.
Greater Manchester, yeah.
And you're now also a health and safety consultant in your own business as well?
Yeah. So like I say, 3 years ago, did a random health and safety course through the fire brigade. The Irish Managing Safely one. Really started to get a bit of a feel for it then, and thought, I quite like this. And background of, I was a decorator before I was a firefighter, all the way back in 2003, which is shocking to think about how long ago that was. And as a painter decorator, getting paid 30 quid a day, the things we used to do, dangling over conservatories with 1 foot and 1 hand on a ladder that wasn't fit for anything. I thought, there's a lot of people out there that can do with a little bit more help, and I think the history of being a firefighter can help me portray that in a really positive way and help build the culture within companies. Yeah.
What were the best things about being a firefighter? What made you go into that in the first place?
Oh, I was a firefighter when I decided I wanted to be a firefighter when I was 5 years old. When the teachers at school was like, "What do you want to be when you're older?" I was like, "I'm going to be a firefighter."
Yeah.
So I kind of put things into motion, even from like being at, even from school. Really, I decided I wanted to do public services, so I went straight to public services at Wigan College at 16 years old. Always down the line of being a firefighter. And I actually went to Wigan Fire Station as an 18-year-old and spoke to some firefighters there. And I said, what else can I do to increase the chances of me getting in at 18? And they said, well, a lot of us have a trade. A lot of us are, tradesmen, tradespeople. So I was like, right, okay, cool. And I think I just started a HND, actually, the Higher National Diploma. And I spoke to a family friend who I knew was a painter decorator, and he just got rid of an apprentice and said, come and join us. So I went and did, just because a firefighter told me to, I went and started a painting decorating career. Yeah. So I did 2 years as a painting decorator, got my city and guilds in one hand, and I applied for the Fire and Rescue Service in the February of 2006. Got my city and guilds in one hand, and congratulations, you're going to be a firefighter in the other hand within a week. It was textbook. Nothing ever works out like that, and it was absolute textbook. So yeah, a very proud mum, very proud girlfriend at the time, wife now. Did pretty well. Got in first time, which as a 20-year-old lad, I wasn't expecting to. So yeah, dreamer really.
Good, excellent. So what do you enjoy about it? What are the positives that you really enjoy about it?
Easy one. The comradeship. Working with mates. I've worked with some incredible people over the years. Highly competent individuals.
What lessons have you got that might help businesses from being a firefighter? What sort of are the main things that you've come across that businesses maybe could do better?
Oh, I saw tons of them. I think one of the most common we see is like obviously fire safety failings. When hot works go wrong, we've been in the dark side of that on a number of occasions. Subcontractor management often gets overlooked. I'm sure you'll have seen that with you and your clients.
Oh, definitely.
They just ring someone out the yellow pages, or they Google someone, and they just let them come round and just crack on with the job, and then they send an invoice and they pay it. Whereas really we should be sharing RAMs and sharing, you know, what have I got that's going to hurt you and what have you got that's going to hurt me. And when you put it into perspective where, you know, you lay out the what ifs, people start to stand up and pay attention there.
One of my biggest bugbears I actually saw this morning when I was at a meeting. I walked out at the end of the meeting, and they're popping the fire door open was, you can guess it, an extinguisher.
An extinguisher, yeah.
So not where it should be, where you'd be able to find it if you needed it, and yeah, it's one of my biggest bugbears.
The other one as well, like when you start to, when you see a new client, you go, let me see your fire assessment. You look for the fire assessment, fantastic. Just done 6 months ago. But there's loads of actions on the fire assessment. But all they think is that because I've done a fire assessment,
that's it. Yeah.
Then I'm compliant. It's not really how it works. Now you know what's wrong. Now you've got to put that right. And a lot of people slip up on that, really.
Yeah, definitely. I've been to a client, a company recently, and it was a warehouse. They had about 10 fire exits, and 9 of them were blocked.
9 out of 10?
Yeah.
Right.
So, they got quite a few harsh words, shall we say.
Yeah.
And we'll see what they do by next time we go.
So when are you going next?
It's about a month's time, but right. I'll probably phone them up and say if you cleared them a few times beforehand. Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you're just helping, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. What about the public as well? Have you got any words for the public? What do they tend to do?
I think the public, again, a really easy one for the public, really. I think we've been in, however many house fires it's going to be, however many incidents we've attended in people's homes, that if we've had a fire in someone's home and they've come out and they shut the doors before, as they've evacuated, we can just pop our head in to someone's bedroom and you can just see it's just perfectly, it's untouched the other side of it just because they've shut the door. It doesn't have to be a fire door. Yeah. You know, in people's homes, 20 minutes protection in a bedroom or the kitchen door, you know, just shutting that door as you leave or shutting the door at night time when you go to bed is absolutely critical. You know, fitting smoke alarms, early detection, you know, protect your escape routes, keeping a mobile phone with you when you go to bed, and make sure you know where your keys are as well. That's another one. We always, that's like the fundamentals of like a home fire safety assessment really is shut your doors at night, keep a mobile phone with you, and make sure you know where your front door keys are. Yeah,
I'm trying to persuade my mum to get rid of her chip pan at the moment.
Wow, yeah, still a few knocking about.
Yeah, they say they make the nicest chips with lard, but you know,
air fryer all the way now, isn't it? Air fryer all the way. Yeah.
So yeah, businesses. Obviously, what do you help out businesses as well in protecting the premises? I know they've got the fire risk assessment and so on, but do you, when you go out to the premises, which you do obviously to have a look round, so you're aware of where everything is and the layout and so forth, do you advise then as well, or
absolutely.
Are you allowed to advise with the risk assessments being in place?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll make basic advisory suggestions as a matter of course, really, just because you're a human being and you've got something about you and you know a little bit about the laws and a bit how to help people out. Fire action notices is a classic. Emergency lighting. Yeah, that often sometimes gets missed. And yeah, we can make little suggestions like that. Of course, we can. And then the fire assessment comes in from a competent fire risk assessor, and then what they advise, we can then help put that forward. For example, fire marshal training is a classic, and not just about like doing an online course as well. Like actually getting someone down to site to train you how to use a fire extinguisher. Yeah. We don't just want to do an online e-learning course anymore. We want you to actually have a go at putting a rig, set a rig up, set it on fire, and have someone have a go at it.
I often ask my clients when they've had the annual maintenance check on the extinguishers, if there's any being replaced, can you keep them, and actually we'll use them as practice outside as well. Yeah. It's a cheap way of doing it.
Yep.
They're only going to be disposed of or whatever, and you'll take them away later if necessary.
Yeah.
But it's an easy way of actually showing somebody how to use them.
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
I'll do that quite a lot, to be honest. I was actually showing somebody and I hadn't realised that there was a hole in the floor behind where I was doing it and fell in the floor.
The health and safety guy fell in a hole in the floor?
Yes.
Gutted.
I know. Yeah. And that's what they remember. Not how to extinguish
the health and safety guy fell on the floor, yes. Yes. Yeah. Slips, trips and falls.
Exactly.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That was about 4 or 5 years ago. In fact, it might have been just before lockdown. I can't remember. But Yeah, it's the one thing they remember.
As long as you laugh about it, mate. That's all
yeah.
that matters, isn't it?
That's
I've fallen over too many times at work. Too many times.
Well, they make the good stories, to be honest, as well. If we have accidents or incidents, not injuring ourselves, but and it says, we're human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accident form filled out.
Yeah, exactly.
Toolbox talk done. Yeah, wicked.
Definitely.
Love it.
How good are businesses at complying with law in your eyes for for fire?
Real mixture, a real mixture. I think what I've seen over my time, fire service related and obviously in the health and safety world, is I think a lot of people do the basics right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get the basics bang on. I think a lot of people do their induction. They might not document it.
No.
It should be documented.
Yeah.
I think they do show them around, say, there's the toilets, there's the there's the fire escape, here's your employee contract, But there needs to be a little bit more training involved there. So, and I think inductions are really, it's a perfect example, a perfect time to do those basic fundamentals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do some fire safety training on day one. It might be a little bit boring for people that have got to read all the risk assessments and real safety, but it's got to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I actually summarise them.
Yeah.
Or I advise people to summarise what's in that assessment, the main hazards and so forth. And if you want to read the whole lot, it's here, but sign that you have.
Yeah.
And at least they're getting it verbal as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you people are a little bit too keen to just go, right, here's the keys, off you go. Go and get it done, and just take a little bit more care on day one. Would be my message. But then, even when people are thinking that they're doing everything right, just if you pick up on a little bit of something for them, it shows your competencies. It shows that you know what you're talking about a little bit, and it's all about how you put it across. Well, you're there to help, aren't you? That's how I see it. I'm not there to tell you what to do. No, I'm there to tell you what I'm there to advise you what the law is and how to keep your people safe.
That's it. That's the whole purpose of it all, anyway,
Absolutely.
isn't it? Keep people from getting injured or worse. We had the big fire in Glasgow recently near the station, and that started in a vape shop. Now, you've told me that there's not any guidance for vape shops really relating to fire, but they're sitting on so much lithium batteries that it's quite a serious risk.
Yeah.
Other industries such as that, maybe, that have more regulation relating to fire safety. That's just one example.
Yeah, so although they are obviously governed by the regulatory reform order, there's no specific guidance on vape shops in particular.
No.
I have checked in with the fire safety professionals as well, and bit of a strange one. It is changing. I think there's tax implications. I think coming in the end of this year. I'm not too sure about that. Things will change. The fire in Glasgow will highlight that and destruction that caused. But yeah, we do things like thematic visit orders within the fire rescue service. So there'll be typical themes that get highlighted by fire safety. And by other teams and other shareholders, they'll come up with their own little themes, like takeaways, for example, and sleeping accommodation above them, and we'll start to target those types of premises. So no doubt vape shops will become somewhat of a thematic visit order. 1 week we'll be doing acetylene visits, and next week we might do vape shops. Maybe that comes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, lithium-ion batteries as a whole is, I think, probably the biggest risk to public safety at the moment and into firefighter.
Yeah, people charging their their bikes in flats and houses. And
it was only recently. I don't know how naive this is of me, but I only just realised recently that it's actually banned from they've banned them on the tube. I'm not sure when that happened, but I found that out this week, and I think if that doesn't hit home with people, I think have a good look at that. And again, we're giving a lot of advice out on that with regards to charging them and where you're buying them from is the biggest one as well.
Yeah.
Conversion kits are an issue. But yeah, charging them in your home overnight in escape routes, big no-no. I don't know if you've seen any that actually are involved in fire and thermal runaway.
Yeah.
It's scary. We've lost entire houses because of e-bikes and e-scooters, and even those hoverboards, the kids just stand on them in like the little gyro thing, and you just lean forward and they move and lean back and they move forward and they can spin around. Complete burnouts because of them, and the velocity they exploit it's frightening. And to think that, you know, we can commit firefighters in through buildings and then that might happen behind them or as they're in there.
Yeah.
The gases involved, you know, very, very, very dangerous.
Very difficult to pull out as well. Your normal extinguishers wouldn't do it necessarily.
Very difficult, yeah. So if you think about you know, your average car on fire, which we don't get nowhere near as many as we did 20 years ago when I first joined, but you'd have one firefighter in full BA, full breathing apparatus, and you'd usually use, you know, a tank of water, which was about 1,800 litres at the time, and then you'd be done. Probably about 20 minutes, and you're done and dusted.
Yeah.
Now it's at least 2 people in full BA, and it's just copious amounts of water. It's just water. It can be 24 hours. I think there's actually an incident where we ended up bringing a car back to our station to monitor it for safety reasons. We've got a quite big yard, so we couldn't leave it on the road.
Yeah.
So we brought it back to station on a flatbed, monitored it for 24 hours to make sure thermal runaway had stopped. It was insane.
Wow.
So, you know, fire rescue services are still learning about it all the time. I think some countries are a little better at it than us at the minute. There's loads of research going into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't stop it. Unfortunately, you just gotta.
But of course, there's more and more electric vehicles on the road now. You've just said that there's a lot less vehicle fires than there was. Are you seeing that there's a lot more electric vehicle fires because of the lithium batteries, or are you not seeing any? Not
seeing too many, thankfully.
Yeah.
I've only been involved in maybe 1 or 2, and like I say, it's just put a lot of water on it. We actually invested in a blanket, a fireproof blanket that was lit. You just drape it over the vehicle. But again, it's, you know, we need 4 BA to then drape this massive sheet over this car and then tuck it in to stop the air getting to it. Still doesn't work. And then obviously that sheet, then when you pull that off, it's just covered in contaminants.
Yeah.
And then that needs cleaning when you're at station. It's an absolute nightmare. Yeah. Really difficult to deal with.
I can imagine. So following the Grenfell Tower fire in 2017, there's been quite a few changes in legislation, particularly high-rise residential flats and so forth. What are the main changes involved in that, and how does it affect you?
Grenfell has changed the way everyone treats fire safety at the moment. It's changed the way we respond to high rises. For example, the buildings in Manchester, of which we've got hundreds of, I think, what are classed as interim measures, which they've been identified to be with this flammable cladding installed upon them. We've had to increase the predetermined attendance on that. So whereas you normally get maybe 2 or 3 fire appliances, a fire alarm, we're now sending 8 and a turntable ladder as well for high access. The advice you're giving clients from a health safety and fire safety point of view has changed monumentally. The Building Safety Act, it's highlighted the different regulations of the Building Safety Act, which I'm invested in ourselves at the minute, and saying we need to learn a lot more about that as a company, because our clients need answers, and that's evolving all the time. So, I mean, Grenfell's probably a podcast in itself, I think, mate, isn't it?
More than likely,
It's insane. There's a lot in there. I mean, there was a complete overhaul of Approved Document B. I was a complete review of Approved Document B. I don't think it's going to stop.
That's part of the building regs, by the way.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And it's 9 years ago that as well now, isn't it?
I know.
And I mentioned before about how crazy time's flying, and to think Grenfell and just 72 people lost their lives, and the fight. The fact we didn't lose a firefighter in that, it was unbelievable. I think there's recently been a claim settled as well for 20 million. For the people that are injured in that.
I can believe that.
Over 100 firefighters seriously injured.
And trauma after it as well.
Trauma, respiratory disease, cancer. Yeah,
definitely.
So had a big settlement.
Relating to trauma, if you're involved in a big fire like that, I'm assuming you get some form of counselling from the fire service as well. There's a system in place to help you out.
So I will sing the praises somewhat on that. I think we have improved that service a lot. Again, I'm going to compare it to 20 years ago when I joined. It was literally, you would get a phone call after a bad incident, and someone would say, "Is everyone all right?" And everyone would go, "Yeah, no problem, we're good." And it was even worse than that before I joined. But now it is as an officer in charge, I am obliged to order a diffusion meeting straight after an incident where a diffusion officer, a trained diffusion officer, will come to station as soon as possible after the incident. And we'll have a good old chit-chat about it over a cup of tea, how you should do. And then we escalate that to what a CISM, a critical incident stress management meeting, which again, a lot of people would have been a little bit dubious about maybe taking part in one of them. They don't really want to share their feelings sometimes. Yeah. We're getting a lot better at that, a lot better.
Particularly men.
Particularly men, yeah. And I was part of one, I won't forget this one for the rest of my life, I don't think. I was part of one, I sat in it as a mental health peer supporter. It was something I just volunteered for when I was a bit younger. I wasn't involved in the incident, but I wanted to be part of the CISM to see how it was going. It was relatively new procedure. And the gentleman sat across from me was an ex-tank commander in the army. And he got very, very emotional about what he saw, and then how he was then describing the incident to his comrades. And what that did was that highlighted what the other firefighters hadn't seen. I didn't know you did that. Yeah, I did that. Yeah. I thought that makes sense now because that's why I did that. Really? Okay, I got you. So that means now I can understand why that happened and then that happened, and that really works for me because I'll struggle if I don't understand what happened. Yeah. As long as you explain it properly to me, I'll be good mentally. So I think that's a massive positive what's happened within the fire. It's still not perfect. It'll still be a long way from perfect, but from where we were 20 years ago, mate. Oh wow, yeah, we're streets ahead of it.
Yeah. I've thought about it for a long time. Some of the housing estates these days that you'll get called out to are now full of parked cars. I bet you can't get through half the time, can you?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. We do sometimes joke about it, and we'll say, we're just gonna have to pick a car to move out the way. So yeah, we are obviously allowed to move cars out of the way. Yeah. We've not had to do it too many times, and we've got certain devices on the pump we can make a little bit more noise with. The old fog-ons, the old 1960s fog-ons, whatever they are, and people tend to get up out of bed and come and move, and they're only going to get so long. And depending on what the incident type is, if it's a fire alarm, then I'll give them a little bit more time. But there's questions asked if it's a person reported and we know there's people trapped in a house.
The car will be more damaged than the
car's getting moved one way or another. Yeah.
Yeah, because some of the older housing estates, in particular, the roads are relatively narrow.
Yeah,
as well, aren't they?
So, yeah, but it's written in our Fire Service Act.
We can actually do.
We've got powers. Yeah,
I can imagine. You've recently made the switch. Well, it's not a switch because you're still a firefighter, but you've now got your own business, as I hinted at the beginning. On Point Health and Safety. Where are you based and what's your focus on that?
So there's two directors. I'm Wigan based, and my business partner is Bolton based. Business partner's more construction focused and fire safety. I'm more, I suppose, almost like business development as such. Really, we don't really have a certain clientele that we serve. We serve a vast array of different clients, from manufacturing, logistics, construction. Yeah. One man plastering bands. We've got a really good collection of clients at the minute, and like I say, it's just going off our experience and picked up a few qualifications along the way, obviously. I just really enjoy it. I really enjoy I enjoy sitting with CEOs. I enjoy sitting with managing directors that sometimes they think they know they think they know what's going on, and then they just want a little bit more help, and you just take them that little bit further, and that's fantastic. And then you sit with other CEOs of managing directors who go, listen, I don't know anything about health and safety, me. I've got no idea. I said, that's cool.
That's why you bought.
You've done everything right. Yeah, and definitely. I really like to put in the fundamentals, the basics. Just start from the very, very bottom, and then just build up and build up and build up. And if you want to keep turning it up to 11, we'll be turning it up to 11. And we've got people part of the safety social that can help with the ISO. We've got people in the safety social that can help with all sorts of it. If I don't know if I'm not sure about the subject, I'll be the first one to hold my hand up. A skill I learned in the fire service. You don't know, you say you don't know. So I'll always be able to. Yeah. That's the benefit of having a massive network that we've got, isn't it?
That's right. So Safety Social was mentioned in Series 1. It's a group of health and safety professionals that help each other out. We meet up occasionally for drinks here and there, but generally it's a big WhatsApp group that we help each other out and get second opinions, or if there's an expert in a particular field, we'll bring them in on particular problems and so forth. So
it's been brilliant.
It's really, really good,
Yeah.
and it's growing from strength to strength. You know, it's really, really useful. I first met you there. You've obviously got quite a lot out of that as well. You know, it helps prove your competence if you know your limit as well, by getting somebody else in to help out with a particular issue. Is there anything like any sort of examples that you've had that it's helped?
Yeah, I've got a perfect one, thanks to, again, the Safety Social. So a client reached out earlier this year who had a HC inspection looming, and I'd done a number of audits for them last year when I first started to work for them, and picked up significant gaps within the business. Provided advice, provided guidance, told them what needed to be done, and although they were working through it, they hadn't quite got there before the HSE sent the letter. It wasn't you know, so no one was snitching on anyone. It was a spot check, and they were aiming to improve the industry. It was a really, really good visit, but the company obviously had a little bit of worries, which makes complete sense, and they asked for my help. So we brushed aside a week in our diaries, and me and another part of the Safety Social, Mike Morgan, went down to site and cleaned up for them. Absolutely, just rinsed it to, you know, back to the bare bones and built it up. I was invited to sit in with the HSE on behalf of the company, with the production manager and warehouse manager, and the HSE were fantastic. You know, you hear horror stories, don't you?
Yeah.
The HSE, you know, from other business owners and other health and safety pros as well. These two ladies were fantastic. They were really, really positive, really, really nice, really, really helpful. They loved our risk assessments, loved our safe systems of work, controlled the cosh, got powered respirators from our Nathan Safety Social, passed with flying colours.
Good.
So yeah, I made a real song and dance about that because I was very, very proud of that.
Yeah.
Again, like sitting in front of the HC, you know, I know I've got 20 years in the fire rescue service, but sitting in front of the HC, you know, the HC
You've seen it from both sides because you're the regulator for fire and obviously for anything else.
So obviously, you know, you aim to prevent as much as you possibly can. You know, there's an element of response to both health and safety and the fire as well. So it was nice to be able to prevent potential ramifications. Yeah. And obviously the company got the praises sung out of it as well, which we owe a big thank you to Mike and Craig and myself that we did really well there.
Yeah. You do you hear a lot of HSE prosecutions and so forth, but given that you're the regulator for fire as a firefighter, you don't tend to hear of many fire prosecutions, or do you get involved, or has there been many?
Thankfully, being 20 years operational, I don't get involved in the fire. Yeah, so we have an entire different department, fire safety department, fire safety enforcement officers, and that is their sole job. They don't, I think they do a little bit of turning out as well if they wish. Yeah, but they are 9 to 5 fire safety enforcement officers, and they specialise in the auditing of fire assessments and auditing of premises and enforce the regulatory reform order. So
if a small business didn't quite know what to do and so forth, and they phoned the fire service, would the fire service go out with a attitude of "we'll help you" or an attitude of "we're going to prosecute you"?
Oh, we'll help. 100%, help. 100% help. Yeah. 100%. If we pick up on actions and those actions aren't,
that's when you look at it. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, and not too dissimilar than the HSE. You know, you'll get an improvement notice. You know, you will get a prohibition notice perhaps on sleeping accommodation. Yeah. But no, you're gonna get help. You're gonna get advice. You're gonna get sound advice from people that have been at the deep end of it. And you're gonna get help to put it right.
Right. Good. Currently, at the time of recording, there's a consultation out about who can do fire risk assessments. You obviously don't, because you've got a conflict of interest being in the fire service, so you personally don't get involved in them, which fair enough. but the legislation is recently, well, it's not changed, but the guidance has sort of changed recently, and now they're bringing out this consultation again now.
Yeah.
So I'm like 90% of my way through a diploma level 6 in England equivalence of. I'm concerned that I'm going to finish this qualification that I've paid a fortune for, and then suddenly, after this consultation, it's going to change again, and I can't do them. I'll have to move on to something else. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I've spoke at length about this because I also share the same concerns, because I'm often asked, what's a competent person?
Yeah.
And again, another safety social member, Tony. Speak to Tony about it. I think their intention is, I'm not 100% certain, but their intention is to make one register to rule them all, almost. Obviously, Grenfell has kicked up massive influence over this, and quite rightly so. My advice to anyone is to seek out a competent. So there's different registers knocking about, and like I said, we're going to try and make one register. Apparently, I'm not 100% certain on that. But I wouldn't worry about your diploma. I think your diploma is going to be
all right anyway.
That's going to look after you quite well. Yeah, absolutely. Carrying with diploma, nail that, and your experience as well, health and safety.
That's it.
Competent enough, absolutely.
Yeah, so the course I'm doing is National Safety Academy. It's an online thing, but it's been really, really good course. Really good and very detailed.
Yeah, the level 6.
It's level 10 Scotland, but it's the equivalent level 6 in England, which is still quite a high level. But yeah, I'd say I'm about 90% of the way through it. So it's I'm really enjoying it.
Very good.
Yeah, good.
Good.
We're coming to the end now, but just beforehand, is there any one thing that you'd want to tell businesses that you see regularly that they're not doing that you wish they would do?
Oh, great question. So a service that I'm really proud of that we do, and I'm obviously an awful lot of health and safety pros do the same, but we do a gap analysis, basic gap analysis. Just go in and you're helping them find out what they're missing.
Yeah.
Fire is obviously a massive part of it, but training. And that, I think I mentioned it before, that induction. If you create a comprehensive induction on day one, you will cover a number of the subjects, most of the subjects, if not all of them, in that one induction that you need to do to become compliant. To become compliant, if you start day one with that attitude, that mindset, that culture within your business, then you're setting yourself up for winning after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing I always tell businesses is make sure you've got a fire evacuation plan, and a detailed one, so that the main fire marshal knows what their role is, the other fire marshals know what their role is, and everybody knows what to do and to practice it.
Yeah.
There's quite a few businesses you go to. When was your last fire evacuation practice? And they'll say 2-3 years ago. Well, they've got to do it at least once or twice a year. Yeah. It's one thing I'm always pushing is make sure you've got a written plan that everybody's aware of it. Everybody's had training. Fire marshals have regular training as well, and go from there. But yeah,
not everything costs a fortune either.
It doesn't.
Everyone thinks
a lot of it can be done in
fortune.
house. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, thank you very much for that, Steve. Really enjoyed that.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Not a problem. Well, Steve and myself offer fire safety training. Steve's details will follow shortly. Mine you already know. Thank you for watching. Safety is my middle name. Take care.
KSH, KSH, KSH.